we can do that.
No. Okay, thank you.
Okay, yep. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the December 14th, 2023 West Fargo Library Board meeting. We will first do attendance first. So Larry
Here.
and Alana.
Here.
She's here too. Next we'll have approval of the order of the agenda.
Move to approve the order of agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, sorry, I've blinked. Motion passes. Let's see, I didn't see anyone for public comment.
No,
Nope.
none signed up.
I really like having that as the option on our agenda, so thank you for moving us in that direction. Next, we will move to the consent agenda to approve within the consent agenda minutes from November 9th and November financials.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Consent agenda passes. Next, we'll move to new business. So we have the approval, so it's an action item of staff training dates for 2024. And it looks like we have a date in January, a half day in April, and a full day in October. Did you want to add any details, Jenna?
Sure. So the January 15th full day, that is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And we have a large variety of trainings we would like to accomplish during that one. Then our April half day, we're planning to spend most of that time just getting ready for summer, what that's going to look like. So staff are ready before all of the kiddos start showing up in the library to participate in that. And then October, that full day training actually falls on Indigenous Peoples Day. And previously we had been approved to have 3 half-day closures and 1 full day. We're feeling like it's easier and more beneficial for us to do 2 full days and 1 half day and disperse those throughout the year. So we kind of hope to just kind of do this 3-day rotation moving forward. Those full days also give us an opportunity to bring in like a lift when we need to replace lights as we did this last time, or to take care of some more involved maintenance projects. For example, at this last one, we touched up some paint. We did a major shifting project. We brought a lift in again, like I said, to replace some lights, things that are really hard to do on a day when the library's open. We also had our furniture steam cleaned as well. So those full days are beneficial.
So I think my question, when I looked at the dates earlier, like 2 of the dates, so the January and October dates are dates where kids within West Fargo would be out of school as well. Like, so the schools either have professional development or they're closed. I don't know so when school is out, what's the traffic like in the library in terms, is there an increase in traffic or a decrease? Does it matter? So I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I would say that the traffic flow is different for sure. Usually as soon as school is out, that's when we get those school age kiddos kind of come in en masse to the library. So we don't have that big push there.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know that there's a real heavy increase on those days, but I haven't been here long enough to really have observed that either. So
that's fair. I just didn't know, like, do we pick a day where kids are out of school and there's potential that they may be at the library earlier? Or is it easiest to pick a couple of these days that a lot of people are already closed or, yeah, so it's a similar thing. So I don't have I mean, I think these days are fine. I just wanted to throw out that question. Any other thoughts or questions?
I have a question kind of along those lines. So I can tell you that in the past that is something they've done. They've been closed on those school out days. And so that part doesn't really bother me, but we ran into the problem in 2023 with Veterans Day, because we're open on or the library is open on some of those federal holidays, how do you compensate staff, or how does staff get compensated for that, just to make sure we're not closed too long?
Yeah, so both of these holidays are not paid holidays for the city. So that's a non-issue. There's no holiday pay. There's nothing to deal with. That's part of why we picked them, because they're days that like banks and lots of other places will be closed. So we figured there might be more parents at home watching kids. And if the city does move forward with adding additional holidays in the future, you know, maybe this is a day that our folks are just kind of used to expecting the library to be closed.
I move to approve the dates.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any other additional comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next, let's see, we have quotes for special projects and purchases. So I know that I think there was a little presentation to go along with this.
Hey, are you seeing that on your screens?
Seeing questions.
Yeah, I think we see the last page.
Yeah, that's done. There we go. Now we're back at the beginning. Thanks for your patience. Okay, so since I've been here, we've taken some time to take a look at our building needs. We have a limited space that we can utilize here, and we're kind of outgrowing a lot of our spaces. I've mentioned in previous board meetings that sometimes for our story times, we have 70 people in attendance. I think 17 times this year, we've had programs overflow from our meeting rooms into the hallways. We've had to open up other meeting rooms. So there are just kind of some space challenges in here. And then also—
Can I interrupt?
Yep.
There's major feedback happening. And it just started, so I don't know. I don't know why.
Else hearing that?
Yeah, it's doing it when you talk, Jenna.
Just when I talk.
I can it's fine, but
Okay.
I
guess I'm not hearing it on my end, and I don't have any other devices on, so I don't know what I could change. Okay, is it tolerable?
Yes.
Okay. So we have, you know, an older facility that has some needs like carpet and paint and some other things as well. So at our recent staff day, I had put together a list of some of the potential projects that we could do to address some of these facility needs, and talk through them with our whole team. We all serve in different areas and see things from different viewpoints. And so it was good to have just a big group discussion about them. And then I had everyone vote on their top priorities. So that's what we're gonna kind of see in this presentation here. And I did get some quotes for some of these projects as well, so we'll see that. Replacing the service desk. The current desk is literally falling apart. I have been nailing and gluing it back together since I came. The veneer is peeling off. Also, the big round shape takes up a really large footprint on the floor of our library, and it's not real great ergonomically for our staff. I think one of the ideas with that design is that patrons would be able to approach the desk however they wanted from whatever side. But because of that, they're not really sure where they should approach the desk to get assistance. And so our staff end up like working from the side to help somebody who's standing over here, but their workstation is over here. So to replace that, we were looking at doing something with a bit of a different shape, a smaller footprint, and some modular pieces so that we could rearrange them, move them to a new location, and modify things as needs changed. The second one is replacing the little red reading bus, which is mechanically at its lifespan. It's nearing the end of its roadworthiness for us. It's also really difficult for library staff to load and unload it. And in most of our outreach, people aren't actually going into the bus to browse materials. Staff are just hauling all the materials out and then setting them up externally. So having something that is meant for loading and unloading of heavy, awkward materials would be better for our staff physically, health-wise, but also would make more sense for us to maintain and use for a longer period of time. We've also talked about opening up a wall between the meeting rooms and installing a movable wall so that it could be one large room or two smaller rooms. When we have these events that are overflowing the capacity of the room, just being able to open that up and have that space so people weren't in the hallway or staff weren't having to go out and set up a whole nother room and run back and forth between the two would be really beneficial. On our main floor, we have that new books area, which is kind of an underutilized space. It's great to display new materials. However, the amount of materials we have displayed in that space is really kind of small for the footprint that it's taking up. By adding a door on one side and a wall on the other, we could add a whole meeting room. Or another potential option would be to make that a director's office. It is the same size as what my office is currently, and that would put me down next to the service desk. So I would be there to assist and talk with members of the public and just be much more accessible. The carpet in the main floor of the library in particular is quite worn. And should we decide to replace the service desk, we will need to replace the carpet as there is not carpet underneath that desk. And then there's just a lot of areas where paint is peeling and chipping off of the walls. The colors could use a refresh. Things are scuffed up, and so on. So I got a couple quotes on replacement of a service desk. You can see there was quite a difference between these two. These are the two companies that the city of West Fargo primarily works with for this type of office furniture. And here is a rendering of an option from Christensen's. So we would have both standing and seated height. On the one side, you'll see that there is kind of a wall meant to block like the back of the computers. I'm actually going to ask that that be lowered a little bit to increase our librarians' view of the library, and so it's more accessible for people who are shorter than normal, in a wheelchair, children, to get assistance from a librarian. This would also include this area over here would be a book drop. So we would remove the book drop from the wall where it currently is right next to the fire alarm. Occasionally we do have somebody accidentally pull the fire alarm instead of pull the book drop to put their books in there. And also that wall is just getting really beat up anyway. This would be a better workflow for our desk staff to check things in and out as they're doing that at that desk anyway. I talked to the city of West Fargo and their public works director and the fleet manager to get a cargo van for the library, as I discussed earlier. It's probably going to cost around $65,000. That's using their negotiating on that fleet vehicle, plus some extra costs for fit up for safety. For example, we might want to put that cage behind the driver's seat. So if any materials were to fall forward, if they slammed on the brakes or something, we're not hitting somebody in the back of the head. That kind of thing. Movable walls are very expensive. Each wall, as you can see, is probably going to come in around $100,000. So if we wanted to do a movable wall between our two existing meeting rooms, it's probably $100,000. If we decided we wanted to shift some things around, maybe move the director downstairs and open up a third meeting room upstairs and wanted that movable wall in there as well, this is what it's going to cost. Luckily, as we've opened up the ceiling and looked at the structure of the building, the structural steel beams that they would need to attach these heavy movable walls to are there in between the walls, so they wouldn't have to be adding that. That does save us a substantial amount of cost. Also worth noting that this project would take a long time, and so potentially those meeting rooms would not be available for 8 weeks. So we would not want to do that project over the summer if we move forward. Adding an office for a meeting room downstairs, this would be in that new materials space behind the steps and next to the service desk. This would be putting in a door and a wall. And then they would have to move the lights a bit, and then there's a little, maybe some sprinkler system work that would be involved with that as well. I have not gotten an actual estimate on recarpeting, but I've been told from city administration that they tend to guess about $4 per square foot in looking at our building floor plans. Our main level is 10,500 square feet, and so that's going to probably be around $50,000 to replace the carpet on the main floor. We would look to replace it with carpet tiles so that if ever there was a major spill, or we just needed to replace a chunk. Right now it's continuous carpet. There's no way to repair that or fix that. This would allow us to just replace a tile. Oh, I should also say, how do I go backwards? I did also increase that a little bit more too, knowing that we would have to move the shelves to do that carpet work. So there's added labor that would not be in a normal office setting. Okay, so here's kind of the summary of projects. In the financials that you took a look at, I'm sure you saw that we were about 75% expended at the end of November for the year. I just pulled that report again this afternoon and figured in like salaries and some other things that we're expecting. And so we're probably going to end the year about 89% expended, which means that left over we should have ballparking in the range of $250,000 to $280,000. And all of that is really just coming from not having a director for a chunk of the year and other unfilled positions. Board members, do you want to discuss any of these items? Or what are kind of your thoughts here?
I have a question about the carpet. A few questions. So I know it's cost effective to only do one floor, but why aren't we looking at the second floor? Because it's all the same age and it should, you know, it's aged out. It's too old. And secondly, does that include the stairs? Because the stairs are becoming a tripping hazard. The carpet is tearing, and are we even responsible for the carpet and the stairs entering into the library, or is that something the schools pay for? And I also believe the stairs going upstairs might be a bit of a tripping hazard.
I can attest to have personally tripped on them. So no, this was not, that was not inclusive of the upstairs or the stairs themselves. I am hopeful that we could negotiate with the school on paying for part of that. It's not super clear in our lease who would be responsible for replacement of carpet. And I've gotten different answers depending on who I've talked to. I did hear from Levi when we had a meeting with him and Administrator Scott from the city to talk about lease renewal, that their board wants all of the school-owned properties to be held to kind of the same standard as far as like paint and flooring and things like that. They have been working on replacing flooring in other parts of this building. And they were here and took some pictures of the carpet. I don't know what would happen during those negotiations, but I just wanted you to know what a potential cost would be. I think that's something that we could definitely talk to the school about and get some more clarity on.
My sound dropped off for a little, like the very, very end of that explanation. So you may have answered my final question. And it's more of a statement that if the library is going to make updates, I want to ensure that we have a renewal lease, or the school's going to guarantee that we have the space for a while, because I would hate to spend lots of money and then have the lease end.
Yeah, I hear where you're coming from. Particularly on like, some of these are really expensive big projects, and if we install a movable wall, obviously that's not something that we would take with us should we need to move to another location. What I heard when we had that meeting was that the school felt that they were legally obligated to only offer year-by-year leases. I have not independently investigated that, but they weren't interested in a, say, 5 to 7 year lease and to renegotiate for a multi-year lease. So we decided not to renegotiate, as that would probably increase our lease agreement costs, and just go with what we have with the 3% annual increase. If we wanted to talk about carpet and kind of pay that off over a period of time, I think that might be something that we could bring into a lease negotiation with them. I know that has been done in the past, but again, there might be, with new administration and new people in charge than there was at that point. There might be some different ideas on what they can do and can't do with the year-by-year lease situation.
So I added up all these numbers, and it does hit that $250,000. Are you proposing that we try to get all of this done with the funds that we have currently?
I am not.
Okay.
The priorities that staff identified were replacing the service desk and the carpet. That was for sure number one.
Okay.
And number two was acquiring a cargo van. And the rest they all saw as great important things that we should do. I think the number on a movable wall was really scary when they looked at the reality of that. But we also know that that's something that would be really beneficial too. So I got a lot of votes as well. It might be something that you want to mull over.
Yeah, can we use reserve funds for any of this?
Yes. So unspent funds at the end of the year are going into the reserve is my understanding. And so we will have these unspent funds going into our reserve. I think these are big projects, and if you want to take some time to think through what really makes sense for us to do, if you want to come walk through the space with me and talk about it. And if you want to set up a meeting with the school to talk about some things like carpet, I think that's another thing that we could do as well. A couple more things related to this though, and unspent funds at the end of the year. When we presented the budget for approval, you might remember that there was a full-time outreach position that we had planned to add in 2024, but due to the budget kerfuffle, we had to cut that back to a seasonal position. It could be something that you decided you wanted to do to add that position back and just use reserve funds to pay for that. That position is a grade 11, so it would come in at about $53,000 for the year to add that full-time position. Another thing just to have on your radar is the city of West Fargo is looking at leasing a space for city hall offices. They would move about 70 of their staff members out of the current city hall space into a commercial space that they would be leasing for, can't remember if it was 3 or 5 years, 5 years potentially. And part of that space could be used for a second library location. If that were to happen, then we would have expenses like shelving, technology, and all of that to fit up that space as well. Library shelving is quite expensive because it's very sturdy quality furniture. That's what you want. We're not looking for IKEA shelving. So that's another thing to just kind of have in the back of your head is there is another potential space that could be offered to us next year that we would want to upfit.
I think the new service desk is the high priority item, especially if the staff thinks so.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's Tony. Hey, Tony. The carpeting, I wonder who bears the liability for accidents on that carpet. Is that the school? So right away, I would be willing to move for an expenditure on the new service desk. Is that helpful to just do the service desk?
Larry, would you, I mean, like, I look at if we're, and I agree, I think
We
the
might need
service
a
desk,
second if that was moving.
Sure, I'll
We might need a
I'll
second.
move to expend funds to acquire a new service desk. We can
And
then
then a
talk
second for
about it in
discussion.
discussion.
Larry, does your motion include carpet? Because the new service desk is going to impact the way the desk looks and the flooring
No,
currently is? No? Okay.
just the service desk.
that's my comment. I know we're looking for a second, but that's my comment as well. Like, if we're gonna change with the service desk, some of that piece, there will be, I think, some issues with carpeting.
I will say that there is like carpet squares and some other things that we could fit in to make it safe. I'm not saying it would be pretty.
I'd like to second the motion so we can discuss it.
We have a motion and a second to approve a new service desk. All the comments on that.
Jenna, can you repeat what you were saying?
Mhm.
Yeah. There are carpet squares and remnants that could be fitted in to make it safe. So we don't have a tripping hazard. It wouldn't be beautiful because it's not going to match. But it is something that could be done on a temporary basis, perhaps while discussions occurred. I also don't know how long it would take to order and get the things in to replace the service desk. I mean, that might be something that's 6-8 weeks out. And so in that time, we could be working on other details.
That was my thoughts, that we should go ahead and order the service desk and then look at carpet options, because it is, I doubt that between the holiday season and how long it takes to get furniture, that it will be here next week. So I think there may be time, in carpet I think you can get pretty quickly right now. So my thoughts are to proceed.
We have a motion and a second for a new service desk. All those in favor say aye.
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 Hi,
Okay, that motion passes. I'd
I
like
do have a
to,
question.
yep, go ahead, Alana.
Do we have, I can't remember this, but I'm not sure if we set an expenditure limit where the board needs to approve it. So if it costs, $50,000, does the board need to approve it? If it costs whatever that number is, do we have a base number that requires board approval for the actual item?
I'm unsure of that, Alana.
There is a city procurement policy, and I believe it's anything over $10,000. It might be 50. I'm personally anything that is like $10,000 or more, if we're talking about a furniture piece, I want to bring it to the board for approval. So that's why I was presenting these quotes today. I assume that the board's recommendation would be to go with the lower cost Christensen's bid.
Yes.
I
Now, my
do want to
feeling is that if somebody says, if somebody outside the board, outside the library, comes into the library and says, well, that's a nice new service desk, but that carpet is sure ugly. Yes, it is. And we're sorry we couldn't do anything about making it less ugly. We've had to plunk this new service desk on top of the old carpet, but the new carpet's going to cost 50 grand. And there's here are some envelopes if you'd like to put some money in. You're free to contact your city council person to urge motion on that. But the library's doing what it can as it can. That's just me being grumpy.
Could we go into conversation with the West Fargo School District about what a partnership may or could look like, or dig into the contract with them on this to see if there's anything in there? I guess I'd like to at least pursue like conversation with the school district to see, this is a school district building. And if they're replacing other pieces of item or carpet or paint or whatever within this building, what about the library portion? So I guess I'm making a motion for our director to start setting up meetings or conversations with the district of West Fargo around
Are they
carpet.
doing something now that could be coordinated? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. They're looking at replacing some of the flooring in a different part of the building in 2024.
Okay.
I will second Leanne's motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to direct Jenna to start conversations with the school district around carpet. Any other comments or questions on that piece?
Does the board wish to be involved in those conversations at all, or would you like that to be me and the city administrator?
I'd like to be involved.
Okay.
So I don't know why I have such a strong passion for carpeting, but I do in this manner, so sign me up. Have we, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
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 Hi.
Motion passes. I do want to talk about, so if like, and we don't have to talk about all of them, but the cargo van for the Little Red Reading. It's such an important part of our community. And if the current van bus is not going to be usable in the near future, I'd like to talk about what we could do or if this is something that we could approve. Because I just think we get so much traction, so much community involvement, but we get kids from all over neighborhoods in West Fargo participating in the library outside of the library. And I just think that's such an important part of what we've built as a library community.
I will say, to add a little more information to that one, the Friends of the Library are looking at doing a fundraiser with Giving Heart Day. And for funds from that fundraiser to go towards bus replacement repair. I don't think they will raise $65,000.
Maybe not.
I would love it if they did.
Yes, for sure. Any other thoughts or comments around the cargo van? Nope. Okay. Well, I'm gonna make a motion, whether it passes or not. I'm gonna make a motion to approve the cargo van purchase as well.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
I'd like to see more detail before the board approves a purchase. I don't think I think it's a good idea to pursue doing it, but based off of no offense, but an Excel sheet summary and a PowerPoint, I don't think we have enough information to approve spending that much money at this time, but I am for purchasing one when we know more about what we're purchasing.
That there sounds like a motion to table. Is that what that is?
My gosh, I think so.
Okay, then I will second that motion to table.
We have a motion and a second to table the cargo van until more information is available, more details are available. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Are there any other discussions around the summary or any of the other requests?
I have a question. The more information that you're looking for, I assume you would like model description, year, actual purchase costs, things like that. Is there any other specifics you are looking for?
I don't think so. When we purchased or received the bus we have now, there was different contracts involved, but now I think we need to know just how we plan on. I assume that the maintenance costs and everything will also change. I just want to make sure that we are looking at not current day price, but how much it's going to cost us for its entire life, and to make sure that we are budgeting for that thoroughly.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Thank you.
For example, we'll probably have to wrap it and with advertising and things like that, but to make sure we have all the costs up front so that we are prepared for it.
Okay, we'll get that ready.
That would be an
Thanks.
opportunity for sponsorship, I guess, with the wrap. Okay.
True.
Okay. Anything else regarding these quotes for special projects and purchases.
The 100 grand for the movable wall is startling. You
Yeah,
know, you're on your way to a house at that price. Nothing I can do about it, nothing we can do about it, but holy cow.
Is that one movable wall or is that multiples?
That's one. And the contractors are saying the bulk of the cost is just the wall itself, not the work.
okay, I will take the silence as we can move on. So next on the agenda, we have our director's report.
Ready for some good news? Our overall circulation has increased by 23% in November, as compared to last year. And that is inclusive of both physical and electronic items. And overall, November circulations since 2019 is up 73%. And I find that astounding. I think it's really indicative of how much West Fargo is using their library and sees it as a vital part of their everyday lives. So when you're out in the community and you hear, do we even need libraries anymore? Do people even go there? Yes. Absolutely. Do people even read books still? Yes. And not just on their phones, because this is physical and electronic combined. Yeah, up 73%. That is just amazing. I talked about this a little bit briefly on the reports that you looked at earlier. We are 75% expended, and that was year to date at the end of November. My projection, I'm not sure if you were on yet or not, Tony, but I'm projecting that we'll be 89% expended by year end. And what was left unspent largely is just coming from the salary and Social Security retirement lines related to having open positions. We did hire 2 new part-time staff members. Cassie and Lauren have joined our team as library assistants. They are fantastic. I hope you meet them soon. We do have one remaining part-time position left to fill that just posted today. And so we look forward to reviewing applications for that in a couple weeks. We've had really great response rates to our job posting. The last 2 times we've had over 30 applicants and qualified applicants as well. So that's not something that I'm hearing other places in the community. I think that really shows that people know that this is a great place to work, and we treat our staff members well. Adult Services has had some great programs lately. The puzzle off competition was bananas. People loved it. And it filled up really fast with puzzle teams. So we anticipate doing that again. We had some local author talks, a series of 3 of those. And it's worth noting that we are now collecting new and very gently used craft supplies and art supplies for a supply swap coming up in January. So if you have a bag full of yarn that you just never got to, painting supplies, things like that, we're happy to take those and pass them on to another artist or crafter. Youth Services released Storytime kits. They're in these clear backpacks. The kits feature a curated collection of books on a theme and activities and literacy development materials. They all got checked out almost immediately within a couple days. They were gone. And people have been really excited and looking forward to those. We had a project where we tied a bunch of fleece blankets in November, and we have, I think, more than 20 blankets were made and will be donated to Project Unitas from that. Community members stepped in all day to help. Another fantastic STEM Saturday with an overflow crowd. They did some tessellation artwork with leaves and built trees. And then they had a candy pumpkin catapult as well. Very fun. If you haven't been in the library in the last couple of weeks, we just did a little bit of rearranging. This was showing you the view into the teen area adjacent to nonfiction. We added this shelving unit to get all of our new teen materials on display a lot more face out. And they've been going very quickly as well out there. Previously, the new teen materials were in this back row of shelving here, a little bit hidden. And so we wanted to get those out and visible, and it's been going well. We also shifted nonfiction, the adult nonfiction on this floor. The idea was to get everything up off the bottom shelf so people aren't having to bend over so far to get those items. And we have also finished relabeling all of the spine labels, that big project that we were doing. So three cheers for our tech services team. That was a really big undertaking. A lot of the labels were getting faded. Some of them had old cutter numbers that we weren't using anymore. And now everything's updated with accurate Dewey numbers. So for consistency throughout the library. In order to get that shelving unit that we were using to display the new teen materials, we had to kind of condense our magazines. So we now have them 4 across on a shelf. Previously it was 3. And that freed up some space for us just by moving them closer together to get that shelving unit out of there. Where we took that row of shelving out, we then kind of moved some other furniture in to create seating spaces. And that's been a really popular area for folks to come and work and read books as well. There was 2 more sections of that shelving unit from the magazines. We brought that downstairs on the end of where we have our DVDs displayed. And that now has our Launchpad tablet cases. So those Launchpad tablets, it's a tablet with preloaded games and activities on there. Some are for kids, some are for adults. And we were finding that kids wanted to look at the back of the case to see what the games were. That's how they wanted to choose these tablets. So having them behind the desk made that really hard for families to browse those and check them out. Now we have them the case up on the floor so you can see what you're checking out. You'll just bring that case to the desk and we'll put the tablet and the charger and everything in there for you. It also allowed us to spread out our DVDs a little bit more on the back side of that shelving unit. So here's just some pictures from some of our classes that we did recently, gift wrapping and card making and that puzzle competition. This was our winning team. They even had matching shirts. STEM Saturday pictures. And our mitten tree is back in the main part of the library. We are collecting hats, mittens, and other winter gear to go towards kids that need it in the West Fargo School District. So if you see something on sale and want to grab that and throw it on the tree, that would be great. That'll go through January 6th. On Beanstack, We also have 25 days of reading going on. That's our winter reading challenge for anyone ages 13 and up. We're just looking for you to read at least 25 days over December 1st through January 31st to be eligible for a prize. I didn't include anything about our space needs assessment. We continue to meet with Anders from Library Planning Associates on that. Larry has come to a couple of those meetings as well. We are looking at comparing our growth potential and needs to both a regional and national cohort of comparable libraries. The idea behind looking at a regional cohort is that there are regional expectations about what library service should be and how much space you should have and what people are looking for in material availability. So it's been interesting to compare both nationally and regionally what's happening there. It won't surprise you that we are undersized compared to our peers. And that's just due to the nature of our space constraints in our current location and how much weight we can have on this top floor as far as collection. Is there any other thoughts, Larry, about the space needs assessments and where we're going there?
I'm afraid there's nothing really that's a surprise. Yes, we are underutilized, undersized, and we could be a contender if only. So I look forward to working on that sort of stuff and you know, being the best darn public library in the state of North Dakota. We're almost there. We know we are, philosophically, but realistically, there's a lot more that could be done.
Yeah, I think our staff are working very hard to make the most out of our collection, our resources, our time, and our space. And our statistics prove that with the circulation numbers that we just looked at, our program attendance. This is a very heavily utilized facility for the size that we are and the size of our collection. We should be wrapping up that space needs assessment by the end of the year, and we're looking at setting up in January to give a presentation to the board on the final product from that assessment. Any questions?
Thank you for the update. The circulation numbers are wonderful that you talked about at the beginning too. So thank you for that.
Jenna, is it okay with you if I post that slide about the circulation numbers to the ALA Think Tank Facebook page?
Absolutely.
All right.
You want to brag about us, please?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I believe our communications specialist will be sending out a press release with those numbers as well.
Perfect.
Excellent.
All right. Any other questions or comments around the director's report? Okay, we have come to the end of our agenda. And
I will
Tony,
move to adjourn.
okay,
I'll second that.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting
Thanks, Jenna.
adjourned. Yeah, thanks, Jenna. And Tony, we had switched it last month to start at 5.
Oh, okay. Was I not
I
paying
had to
attention
double
apparently?
check today too.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, you're fine. We're glad you could join us.